Hello everyone, welcome to the Testing Trainer YouTube channel. In this session, we are going to discuss test management. What is test management? Test management is a process of planning, organizing, controlling software testing activities. So, planning, you all know what is planning, right? We need to plan an activity, okay? And then organizing, we need to make sure it's all well prepared and scheduled properly. Controlling, we all need to make sure that okay, it's all going correctly as per the plan, and which tasks should be prioritized and all those activities. Okay, the mainly it involves in coordinating the resources. Here, the resources are testers and schedules. You have a schedule. Okay, testing should start at March 2020, March 24, and ends at April 24. So, and this many tasks has to be performed. So, all those things should be maintained and it should be coordinated by the test manager or test lead. Okay. Now, this test management is mainly the activity of the test management will be performed by test manager or a test lead. Okay, managing the testing or leading the testing. So this will be performed by them. Now, tester should also know about this because you will be working under a manager, so you can understand what a manager or a lead expects from you. Okay, and also you need to understand how the testing is being managed, what is meant by test plan, what is meant by test monitoring. So all those things are important key terminologies you need to know when you're working as a team. Okay, that's the reason we are discussing about it. Now, in under the test management, the important topic is test plan. So this involves in defining overall testing approach of setting objectives, identifying test requirements, blah 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 blah. So this is all a definition, but I will give you a very nice and clear example, and I explain you what is test plan. Okay. Now overall test management you understood, right? So the test manager is nothing but a person will manage the testing activity, whether the testers are correctly doing their job. For example, if they're testing properly and having a plan, preparing a plan, okay, and how preparing a test approach, test strategy, okay, how to approach this testing, what are all the test level we need to do it, what are all the different testing techniques we have to use, and what is the time frame, which resource has to pick up how many tasks, how to finish the testing on time, how entry criteria has been made. So there are so many things under it. Okay, so let's see one by one. Now first let's see what is test plan. Okay, now before going to the definitions or anything, let's take this example. Okay, this is an itinerary for 4 days Switzerland trip. Okay, looks exciting, right? Yeah. Now this is a what is meant by itinerary? Itinerary is nothing but you are going for a trip or any holiday or anywhere. So if you are going along with any travel agents or company, they usually have this itinerary. Or even if you're going a personal trip, we used to have this itinerary. Okay, day one I'm going to see this. Day two I'm going to see this. So the itinerary is just saying, okay, day one when I arrive into Zurich, I have to go to there. I'll have to arrive at the airport, check in into hotel, fresh up, and then afternoon I need to go to this places, blah 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 blah, all those things. Similarly, day two what you'll be doing, day three what you'll be doing, day four what you'll be doing. So this is what is this actually? It's an itinerary. But why do we need an itinerary? If we don't have an itinerary, okay, for example, you are living in Australia and you're going to Switzerland. Okay, so the travel ticket and everything is very expensive, right? Now, without any plan, what you're going to do for 4 days in Switzerland, what will you do? So the days will be wasted. You will be maximum what are all the area, what are all the places that you are going to see in the 4 days. If you don't have the plan, you may only see the places, only few places. Okay, so that is a waste of money, waste of thing, right? So whenever we have to do some work, we have to plan the work. That is an efficient way of working. So similarly, like how we go, if we go to a trip, we are planning the itinerary, how to do it, where to do it. Similarly, when you want to test it, you need to plan it. How we need to test. So now we have a document called a test plan document. Okay, so we are going to talk about it. That test plan document is that outlines the approach, objective, scope, resources, and other testing project, software testing project. Now you are testing a e-commerce website. Okay, you are a testing group. Okay, now you are going to test it. Now the test team or a test manager or a test lead should come up with a test plan document that should highlight all these things. There are so many parameters are there in the test plan document. We will see one by one. But the document should have all this. It serves as a roadmap for the testing team, providing a guidance on how testing will be conducted to ensure that the software meets its quality goals. Okay, so you are going to get paid for. There's a testing. A project is going to pay a huge dollar amount for performing the testing. Now they need to know the plan. Okay, the high level management need to know the plan. How you are going to test it? How long do you need to test it? How are you going to schedule it? How many resources do you need? How to how will you mitigate risk? What are all the test approaches are you going to follow? All these details will be there in this test plan. Okay, shall we let's get into the test plan. So this is a sample test plan for e-commerce website testing. Okay, usually a test plan has an introduction of what this test plan is going to do. It says that this approach documents, blah blah, usual thing. It will give an introduction about the test plan. Okay, now this is the main part. So this objective says that validate the functionality. This objective, this is mainly about giving an objective of what this test plan is all about, what it tries to achieve. Okay. Now this says to validate the functionality of the critical features, verify the compatibility of the browser devices, blah blah blah, or making sure the quality. We can write an objective making sure the quality is well maintained. Um, quality will be done. Software quality will be maintained by this many activities, or the main objective of the test plan is to make sure the quality is not compromised. Blah blah blah. So all the things related to the quality. Okay. Now this is another important part of the test plan. Okay, in testing there are areas which can be tested and which cannot be tested. Okay, it cannot be tested not because of it is not impossible to test, nothing like that, due to some other reasons or environmental issues or any other thing will be there. Okay, so now we need to say what are the things which we are going to test and what are all the things which we are not going to test. In terms of functionality here they are saying user registration, product browsing and checkout process, payment process, these are all things we can test. And out of scope saying search the product sorting, filtering. This may be a test plan for iteration 1 or maybe for the first release, so they don't want to test the sorting, filtering, search the product, so you can put it here so that the management or the other testers who are working under the manager knows that okay, we don't need to test it for the release 1. So it gives an idea of what you are going to test and what you are not going to test. If it is for a full-fledged product test plan, then something, for example, if you are testing only functionality, if you are not testing performance, then you can mention performance testing will be out of scope like that. Okay, but generally, just no scope is nothing but what are the things you are going to test. Out of scope, what are the things you are not going to cover. That's it. Test approach. Okay, test approach is another. I will come to this part in next slide. Test deliverables. Okay, what is test deliverables? So what are the documents you'll be handling to the project after you completed the testing? So we obviously write some test cases, test scripts for automation testing. If you write some automation testing, you will be giving that scripts. If you write test cases, you will be giving that. If there is any matrix that you have done, you will be giving it. If you are performing performance tests, then you will be giving the reports and all those things. So that's what are the documents that you are going to document that you are going to hand over to the project at the end of the project or end of the testing, that is called deliverables. Okay, schedule. I've just highlighted a very low level or like very high level schedule, but actually the schedule will be looking like an Excel sheet with blah 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 like that. I can possibly show you quickly, but it's not. You need to know it in a very detail, but I'll show you. Okay, so the schedule will be looking like this. So it's March. So March 2024, we are going to do some activity, and then after that, so in this area, which is like, oh, hold on. Okay, now here. April or April 24. So that maybe you can see like system testing, performance testing. So it will be looking something similar to it. Okay, it will be with a very what activity we are going to perform in what day or like what month, what week, and all those things will be there in the schedule. Now resource requirement. So if it's the start of the project, if you need a test, how many testers you need, 5 testers, 6 testers, now what, how many automation is you need, how many performance is you need. So all those things will be covered. Testing resource requirement, risks and assumptions. So it says that what are all the risk that is there. If you conduct the testing and if you feel there is some risk, it's there in that whole testing, then you need to highlight that risk. Okay, if there is an option to mitigate the risk, you also need to highlight what are how to mitigate the risk. Okay, you need to highlight the risk here. And approval, so what are the person this test plan is going for the approval. Okay, see, I have highlighted very only the first 9 or 10 fields of the test plan. Usually the test plan will be a very big document. Okay, depends on the project. It's a simple project, it will be a little bit smaller, but usually it will be very bigger. Okay, it will be a bigger document. And I did not cover everything because the whole tutorial is all about fundamentals and basics of automation test, functional testing. So I don't want to get into detail. And also in terms of a normal testers, for a senior tester or a test engineer or a senior test analyst, so knowing the in high level should be sufficient. Okay, and also so that's why I just covered only few areas of test plan which is necessary. And this approach which we will see in the next here. What is test approach and strategy? Okay, approach is nothing but how are you going to approach this testing. Okay, I'll give an example. There is an e-commerce website. You're going to test then you need to test the e-commerce website. Okay, what are all the levels? How many levels of testing you're going to perform? Did you remember the topic levels of testing? So there is a unit testing, integration testing, system integration testing. You need to highlight what are the testing you are going to cover. You can say like we are going to do a system testing and also system integration testing with all those integration things. Okay, and also how are you going to, what are the testing, how will you approach the testing if you get a build? What are the different types of testing you'll be performing? Okay, as soon as I get the build, I'll be doing a smoke testing. Once the smoke testing, if I find all the critical functionalities are working, then I'll go with the formal testing with writing the test cases and all those things. When the formal testing is done, I'll be doing, if needed, I'll be doing some exploratory testing. And then finally, I'll be running some automation regression test to make sure existing functionality is not broken. Okay, and then I'll just give a report. So this is a one example of how the testing approach can be. Okay, some people will be like, okay, we don't need to do a formal testing, this is a fast-paced environment, so I'm just going to start with the smoke testing first, and then I will do an exploratory testing, and then I'll close it. That's it. It depends on the project, that will be varied. It depends on the requirement as well, and depends on time. So how you approach the testing and how you are going to strategize. Okay, that is all about strategize in the sense like how are you going to do it? How much, for example, if you take manual testing and automation testing, how are you going to cover it in a manual and automation? Are you going to cover everything in automation, or cover everything in manual and then only some part in automation? So there are different techniques which you can use it as a strategy. Okay, so this strategy and approach it should be different from project to project and requirement to requirement. Some people need it in a different way, some people need it in a usual way. Okay, so this is all about test approach and strategy. So far what we have discussed in this session is what is test management, what are all the management activities. So test management is nothing but process of managing, planning, organizing the testing activities. Okay, and it also involves in coordinating the resources, schedules, and tasks, and making sure it's all under control. Okay, it's all under control in the sense what is mean by control here. Like we need to complete a task by end of this week, but testers are taking, instead of 5 days, they're taking 10 days, but still they didn't finish the testing. So that means it's not under control. So that we need to, so in this case, manager or lead should make sure that it will not happen again. or to avoid it, how can we improve it? Where it went wrong, we need to analyze. So there are so many key techniques we need to use to make it in control. Okay, so those activities or will be done in the test management side. Now, the important part of test management is a test plan. We understood what is a test plan. Whatever we need to do, whatever the action or whatever the thing we need to do in life, we need a plan. Okay, in all areas of life. Similarly, we have a test plan as well. Okay, and then test plan should highlight all the key parameters, what are things necessary like scope, out of scope, test what is the approach, strategy, what are the thing you're going to deliver, and what is the schedule and what is the resource requirements, what are all the risks we have. On top of it, there are other fields which I can say is like what is the entry criteria. Entry criteria is nothing but when will you begin the testing. Okay, that's the entry criteria. And there is another field called exit criteria that says that when will you finish the testing, right? And then how are you going to handle the test report and how it's going to be there, so approval, so all those things related to the plan. So all the thing will be covered in the test plan. An approach or strategy is nothing but um, how are you going to approach the whole testing process. Okay, and it is also says like it mainly depends on the requirements. Okay, sometimes there is a risk based approach will be there where you just highlight the areas of risk and test only that area. Okay, that's called risk based approach. Okay, so that's one of the example of a test approach. But there are other test approach like that differs from the project to project. As I said earlier, it will get from the project to project, and if there is a requirement, one project, one team says that I need to do it in this way, other team will be saying I need to do a risk-based approach. So depends on the requirement, you need to strategize your test. Okay, test activity. Hope that gives a good understanding of test management and test plan. So thank you so much.